Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in to the Class of 1952 Memorial Athletic Complex here on the campus of Army inside Shea Stadium. We've got ourselves a huge NCLL matchup coming up right here for you on the Fans Only Sports Network. My name is Colby Smith, and I'll be bringing you all the action here tonight, joined by my good friend Matt V over here to my left. Going to bring you all the action via the camera right here on our YouTube feed. We're so happy to be with you for this big matchup. Both these two teams off to a huge, strong start to the spring, as Navy coming in 4-0 after finishing 2-0 in fall ball. And as for the Hudson Hellfire, they are 3-1 on the year, trying to bounce back after their loss to Sacred Heart. And talking to the coaching staff and a couple of guys before the game, they said it was one regrettable loss, 7-6 score, as they gave up a couple of late goals to Sacred Heart, ultimately falling up there on the road. This Hudson Hellfire team has a lot to prove here against Navy, as in terms of the Division II rankings, Navy going to be coming in at number 2, and Hudson is number 11. So, of course, the Hellfire, the underdogs here on their home turf, as we're just moments away from getting ready to get started. We had a little bit of a delay in getting ready for this one, as we didn't have officials here for quite a while, but they ended up showing up just after 7 o'clock, and so both teams concluding their warm-ups. It's a pretty cold night here, very damp, low 40s, as it was rain all afternoon into the early evening hours, but luckily that subsided as Army and Navy, the D1 lacrosse game, played here this afternoon at Shea between those two squads, and now, of course, the NCLL clubs playing here tonight, and we're so excited to bring you all the action here on the Fans Only Sports Network for this matchup. Last year, in the matchup down in Annapolis, it was a 19-3 score in favor of Navy. So, of course, Hudson looking to bounce back this year, not wanting to drop to 0-2 all time against this Navy team. They came 4.5 hours up from Maryland, so definitely a bit of a drive. Traffic seemed to have been in full force, both for Navy and traveling here, and for our broadcast crew coming down from Rhode Island. So the traffic certainly didn't favor anybody today, but the Hellfire get the advantage being right here on their home turf. They're going to be in their home white tops with the orange Hellfire, orange numbers with the American flag on their bats. And, of course, the officials finishing up their meeting with the Hellfire, as you can see here on our YouTube feed. Navy will go from left to right in our first half, and Hudson Hellfire will go from right to left. Navy's in those visiting blue tops with the yellow Navy in letters and in numbers on the back. Teams they've beat are UMass Amherst, Salisbury, Townsend, and UVA. Connor Kemper's one guy they said you have to keep an eye on in this game, as he's been very strong in goal so far this season. And as for Hudson, the big one they said keep an eye on is their attacker. They call him Chet, despite his name being Chester Kempanowski, as he's a senior on this team who's made a huge impact. So, a guy to watch on each team and keep an eye out for us. We're going to step aside and take a little break, because we're getting ready for the opening draw here at Army. It's the Hudson Hellfire and Navy Sled Dogs coming up next here on the Fans Only Sports Network. Welcome back to Shea Stadium here on the campus of Army as we're getting set for the opening draw. It's the Sled Dogs and Hellfire. As the official's going to say, it's going to be Navy ball to start this one after the tie-up at center. And quickly it's going to be Connor Garrison, the defensive midi, to pick up this ball. Both teams making changes and bringing off their draw specialists as Navy quickly going to work this one in, fired behind the goal. Starting tender is Patrick Ruther down there for the Hudson Hellfire. As this one worked back out almost to the 40. Dancing around is Aiden Bauer. Going to bring it on ahead, fires it in low. As we've got ourselves a 15-minute running clock here between these two teams. And now this one going to be quickly broken the other way. It's Matthew Eckert bringing it over the 50, and now he's going to pull up. Tosses it on ahead. Coming forward is Kem. About at the 30, now on the far side, working it up the wing. Going to toss in behind the goal. Hudson and Navy, the second all-time meeting between these two teams. It's the third year in operation and the second year in the NCLL for the Hellfire. Fire to the goal helmet behind the net. It's the guy we were talking about in our pregame. It's Chet Kopemski. So he'll feed it off to Keck, the junior attacker. Dumped out to the 30. Is Kem trying to find some space. Fired behind him, Edward Gaines, the left wing side. Gonna feed it low. Bartlow able to pick up. Is the Hellfire going to bring it on ahead with speed. Cower coming all the way to the goal, now fed on the right side. Out and back to the 30 yet again is Edward Gaines on the far side. Going to find somebody. He'll go to Reed Walsh. Going to cut on ahead out at the 20. Was looking for the shot, but had his lane jammed up. Back up top goes Keck to his left side. Darting around is Kelleher. Now going to lose the ball, and the Sled Dogs quickly on a fast break the other way. On out it's Sweat. Going to leave behind him. McKenna. He goes to Daniels with this ball. Navy's going to take their sweet time. Bauer. I already called his name a couple of times. He's a junior from Birmingham, Alabama. Far side corner. Fed down low as the Sled Dogs love to work everything from the back out. Again, they're 4-0 so far in spring play after going 2-0 in fall ball. Gonna hold up here, try to finish the regular season undefeated. That's the goal. It's a nice little gumball save. And the keeper's gonna feed this one off. And it's Patrick Ruther down there in net for the Hellfire here tonight, making his third start. And Navy gonna get this ball back after the turnover. Matt Daniels and a little give and go pass play with Bauer. Bauer trying to cut around two defenders. Being hit high from behind. Ball's going to come loose on the turf and roll right into the Hellfire bench area on the near side. And Hudson going to get this ball back. Navy's going to make some changes to their unit. We've got just about 9 minutes left here in quarter number one. 15 minutes running clock. Side to side is Johnson. Is Duncan down to his left, is now Duncan going to give it on forward. Kelleher in the corner, giving down low. It's Kempinski wearing number 3 with that gold helmet out there for Hudson. On the doorstep, and they get it. Great setup feed to Colby Keck in front of the goal, and the Hellfire are going to be off and running to the tune of a 1-0 lead. So the Lone State midi going to get his first goal of the game. And now quickly the Sled Dogs trying to control the net's draw, but Hudson going to break the other way. Eckert feeds it behind him to McElroy. Going to fire it in low. With sub 8 now to go here in quarter one. Quickly broken back the other way Navy as they'll come in on the fast break. 6 guys into the offensive half. From about 30 yards out of the net. Going to play it on forward as Johnson up the middle. Pits up off the turf. Johnson looking to come on into the net, going to trip himself up, and a flag will get thrown as he's having a hard time holding on. Loses this one in the end zone. buttress, able to scoop right back up. Gives it behind him, the 37-36 connection. Godfrey to the far side. Down that right wing corner. In towards the net comes TJ Kim. And another flag for a penalty. Going to be tossed. Officials finally going to halt the play. And Navy and Hudson will be instructed about what's to come. Going to be both a trip and a slash, it looks like, coming up against the Hellfire. Jason Pajovic and Matthew Ecker both over to serve, and so Hudson going to be playing 2 men down here for these next couple of moments. Navy on the far side as they'll look to even this game up. The Hellfire taking an early 1-0 lead. Left side, right up top. Hudson's going to need a strong game from their goalkeeper as he lets one through. Big fly goes to Matt Pastel as the junior midfielder gets his first goal of the season. Both penalties will come to a close here for Hudson. So we'll be back to even strength at now a 1-1 game here from Shea Stadium. Next draw up, going to be Thomas Letcher. He's been a face-off specialist for this team the entire time he's been here at Army. Quickly brings it in on the doorstep, whipped on goal and just missed. Trying to go bar down, feed that one in. But Hudson not going to get the lucky break. It is a little bit windy. Could be a factor in carrying some of these balls wide tonight. Kapinski going to work this one all the way back out, 20 yards out. Reed Walsh gave it to this near side. Kem going to dump it off behind him. Side to side, Walsh from the far side wing. Kapinski's got it in that far corner. Kapinski racing on in, going to pull up behind the goal. Finally gives it off Kem. Working around, cuts 2 sled dog defenders. Ball skipping on the turf, going to be picked up and kept in. McElroy, big dump in front of him. Is Kelleher going to feed it in low once again. Up top, shot, knocked on out of there. As Kem couldn't grab the rebound on the doorstep. Navy trying to recover. Is this one going to be cradled? And the officials are going to blow their whistles on this near side. Under 5 minutes to go here in quarter one. 4 15-minute running clock quarters. 1-1 score here at Shea Stadium thus far. The officials waiting. Is Hudson going to get this ball from the corner? Kapinski gave it up top. Reed Walsh fed side to side. Is Kennedy Duncan going to play down to the corner? Now behind the net yet again. Directing the traffic is Matthew Eckert here for the Hellfire. So he'll go all the way long, deep, Reed Walsh. Great ball movement here for the Hellfire thus far in the attacking half. A quick shot and a nice save made by the keeper and Connor Kemper. Kemper's a senior from Virginia Beach. Won a couple of championships in high school at Princess Anne. As Hudson's got it in their own end, and they'll quickly give it to their guy back there in net, Patrick Ruther. Break it up the wing as Reed Walsh going to jog forward. Over the 30 he'll come. Going to give it off, it's Kem. Direct some traffic with his right hand. Hudson playing a little bit short-handed here tonight as a few of their guys unable to dress for various reasons. Navy bringing a huge bench all the way up from Annapolis, Maryland. Reed Walsh jogging off to his far side as we should have just about 3 minutes to go here in this first quarter. No in-house clock up on the scoreboard. So we're doing the best we can and guesstimating that here for you on our Fans Only Sports Network stream. Right to the front, ball going to be knocked loose. Navy trying to pick up, and here come the sled dogs with numbers. This one going to be dumped off. Winding up Gave it on the doorstep, and a great save made by Ruther. Put his legs down, stuck that stick in front, and the Hellfire get a break. Holden Burns down the far side, thrown on goal, and it bounced wide, and going to come all the way out of play. As the Hellfire were trying to turn that one coast to coast into a goal, and still this 1-1 score. They said Matthew Eckert as they held up the 88, getting credit for that first goal for the Hellfire. Is the Longstick Midi coming up with a big play. Edward Gaines at the 40, going to feed it off. Kennedy Duncan goes down low. Kapinski looking around, trying to break right back to the front on goal, and he's got it! Chester Kempinski going to make it 2-1 Hellfire. You love to see that if you're Hudson. You give up the first goal, 2 men down, and then you strike right back, and both your goals have come on even strength as it's now a 2-1 score here late in this first quarter. Letcher once again going to see River Penland for this draw. Hudson off to a strong start after that 7-6 loss to Sacred Heart that dropped them down to 11th in the D1 standings. Navy coming in at number 2. Pendlin. This ball out of play, and it'll be Hudson ball down that far side flank. Mitchell Long. Going to give it to Parker Ruther. Ball comes loose. Is Navy able to pick right back up. Brought by Dane Johnson. To the left of Ruther's net. With under a minute now to go here in this first quarter. Up on out to the 45. Is the Sled Dogs. Want the last shot of this quarter with no questions asked. Gagliano looking and waiting. Now going to come down low with the ball yet again are the Sled Dogs. Wadovic looking down that far side. Passes back and forth, and the ball going to come loose. About got away from Matt Daniels. Is now Hillskate on ahead. Dances on up. Has the ball stripped free. The Hellfire on a fast break. Up the middle. Morganfield's got room to move. Going to pull up and dance to his left. Going to waltz on over as he'll now get off the field. Reed Walls with our score 2-1 here in favor of Hudson. Standing out at the 30, gave to his left. Edward Gaines, fed low into the corner. Declan Kelleher. Kapinski has already had 1 goal the same way. Navy trying to clog his lane, not give him a second one. Kempinski on off is Colby Keck. Dancing, waiting, can't dipsy doodle that defender. Great setup down there by Tyler Sweat. Coming with a shot and just missed. Trying to go in on that right post side, but Connor Kemper certainly knew better. First quarter should have been over by now, as we've played certainly more than 15 minutes. But Hudson still hanging on to this 2-1 lead. Kapinski with that second goal after Matthew Eckert got the scoring started first. Mats Pestel's got Navy on the board from the right side, and that one blockered out. Connor Kemper able to slide over and keep that one out as the Sled Dogs going to bring it the other way yet again. Aiden Bauer, far side, looking for a centering feed. Couldn't get it through. Takes it himself and an easy save. As that one just barely grazed out. Now Navy chasing it down. It'll be Hellfire ball yet again. The official's going to wait as finally the whistles are blown. And the 15 minutes here of this first quarter come to an end. We'll head to quarter 2 here from Shea Stadium on the campus of Army. A 2-1 Hellfire score here on the Fans Only Sports Network. Back here to Shea Stadium at the class of 1952 Memorial Athletic Complex on the campus of Army. A 2-1 score in favor of the Hudson Hellfire if you're just tuning in. My name is Colby Smith here with you for all the action in the Hellfire. 2 goals in that first quarter, much to the shock of many Navy faithful. As from Annapolis, many families traveling up as Navy well represented here in the seats at West Point tonight. We'll get the opening draw of the second quarter coming up. As the draw going to be made, and here we go. Quickly picked up at half, now sliding on ahead. Kieran McKenna on the far side, over the 40, now going to bring it on. Navy's going from right to left here in the second quarter, Hellfire left to right. So the Sled Dogs hoping here on this end they can make some noise. McKenna to his long sticker behind the net. It's Hudson trying to pick up, and here they come. Just barely inside the line. Going to feed this one off. Matt Elroy to Kopinski behind the net. Kopinski never wastes any time trying to get something started. We've already seen him come from behind the net, take a couple of shots in this game, including his last one being that goal. That's the difference maker on the scoreboard thus far. Back out, it's Edward Gaines. Side to side is the Hellfire, going to come on forward. Pushing with the elbow is Kennedy Duncan. Able to get a pass off. Whipped off, this one received by Brulette. Brulette dancing around. Gaines waiting, can't get around his defender. In the corner, Kelleher. Going to go back to Gaines, now up top. Hudson running 5 players here in the offensive half. Quick shot on net, and it's in. Kennedy Duncan going to make it 3-1 Hudson. So Kennedy Duncan, wearing number 77, the midfielder, going to get a huge goal here for the Hellfires. Our score now 3-1, and we get the draw. Pushing is Letcher, trying to get this one free, and the officials ultimately going to halt the play, and it'll be Navy ball. Side to side. Here's Matthew Eckert. Reed Wallace looking on the far side, down into the corner. 3-1 Hellfire, now your score here on the Fans Only Sports Network. A huge NCLL Division I matchup between these two teams. Both teams playing their 5th game of the year. There's a quick shot, and that one blocked down in front. Turning, Matt Daniels going to slide the other way. Pass in stride. It's Garrison with time and authority. Fed off is McKenna trying to toss on goal, and Ruther blockers it out of there. Use the stick and the legs, and those goalies in lacrosse certainly don't wear much padding, so that one had to have hurt. Looked like it caught him in the left shin. Is Drew Hott going to work this one in play for the Hellfire. Deep feed to this near side. Is Liam Capper going to come on ahead. Capper, a late add to this roster, as he didn't play in game 1 earlier on this year. Little jogging play down the far side is Caleb Johnson. Kennedy Duncan now going to work it on around. Being extra careful to not lose possession of this one in his stick, because the Hellfire did have a couple of turnovers that way back in quarter 1. Sled Dogs still looking to crack the board here in quarter two. Just one goal on the board, and it came 2 men down, so certainly not the start that this team was hoping for here on the road. Playing just their second road game here in Game 5. Navy have put together a couple of blowout wins, just one of their games within a handful of goals. Is on the doorstep. Tethlin Kelleher now going to skate on around down low. Right back up top, whip shot and going to skip wide. As it caught the turf and skipped right past the net of Connor Kemper down there for the Sled Dogs. Navy with a lot of freshmen and sophomores on this team, so very young, but the Sled Dogs certainly hoping that they can keep this hot start to the season alive and hopefully find their way down to the championships in Maryland in a couple of weeks. Little hip check play. The Sled Dogs come with a little hack on the stick from behind. To a knee went Dane Johnson, but he'll stand right back up. Skipping on the turf, and now a hit play high. Tanner Wadovic trying to chase it down in the corner. Ball will roll out of play, so the officials once again blow their whistles with our score 3-1 Hudson. Again, you're watching NCLL lacrosse here on the Fans Only Sports Network. Hudson Hellfire are the home side, and the Navy Sled Dogs are the visitors, making the trip all the way up from Maryland. Back and forth. So Sled Dogs taking plenty of time moving this ball around. One thing they've prided themselves on this year, having such a strong midfield, is Ruther didn't even have to make a save, but now he'll corral this one. Big deep shot downfield, picked up off the one hop. Navy going to come the other way. It's Kim. Kim wearing the gold helmet for this team, so he can go anywhere as the ball not free from behind. Now trying to scoop it right back up. Hellfire in the midst of trying to cradle this one in. Ball still loose on the turf. Who's going to get to this one first? It is our long stick midi here from Navy. Talked about that great midfield that they possess, and you see it in full effect right there as it was Weymouth. Up Bauer. Getting back and forth. Is over there is Matt Daniels looking for a whip shot on goal. Down the left wing side. Takes a bounce. Picked right on up behind. Right to the front. Ruther diving at it as it comes on in. Ruther was down on a knee. The officials looking. As our crowd cheers and they say no goal. So Ruther was defenseless. And the officials certainly take that to account. Is Hudson with plenty of time and space for the Sled Dogs in the midst of a change. Changing area right in the midst of these two benches, and again Navy bringing up their entire roster, and Hudson playing a little bit short-handed tonight. So you got Kapinski feeding it back out. Everything runs through that guy wearing the gold helmet for Hudson, as you've seen so far tonight. Kapinski going to come on over as Kelleher going to look back to the top of the key instead. It's a bounce off the turf. Reed Walsh able to hang on to this one. So our score is still 3-1 after that goal was nullified. Reed Walsh looking back behind him. A little maneuver around play. Edward Gaines out to the 30. Dancing, cutting, weaving. Ecker having a hard time finding anything in front. Down into the corner, Kelleher now behind the net. Kapinski looking. Doesn't have a way to get to the front. Reed Walsh going to stand tall. Edward Gaines now again side to side. Up on the left, Kelleher. Duncan. Out to the 35 in Gaines. Here comes Reed Walsh. Going to take a high hit, keeps possession. A little stick whack as Walsh. Come on out. Navy with three guys ready to move in on the attack if they get the opportunity, but Hudson's pinned them down in their defensive end for much of this game thus far. Up, Kennedy Duncan. Standing tall is our keeper. Going to pick this one up. Connor Kemper is certainly seen a lot of shots come his way so far from this Hudson roster. Not exactly known for scoring a lot of goals, Keller trying to knock this one loose. Trying to prevent this fast break offensive Navy from taking over. They'll run you out of the building if they get the opportunity to, but the Hellfire certainly keeping them to a more conservative, tight game so far in this one. 3 different goal scorers on the Hellfire side of things, and the lone goal scorer for Navy thus far is Matt Pestel. If you're just tuning in to join us, here's where late in the second quarter. Up top. And again, we don't have an in-house clock, so we're doing the best we can in that respect. 4 15-minute quarters between these two teams tonight. Is this one on the doorstep? Kept out of there by Ruther as he used that stick to knock that one out of the air. And you love to see it. Ruther now going to receive as the Hellfire will slow things down. This team next year, they finally secured club funding from Army, and next year will rebrand as Army Club Lacrosse in their 3rd year in the NCLL. What started as a project by a sophomore here a couple of years ago, finally coming to fruition the way they wanted. They had 5 minutes earlier on in the spring to present to a board of officers here at Army why they should receive funding and become a club here for this team. And because the brotherhood, resilience, and camaraderie this team brings, they decided it was certainly worth the money. And so next year, this team will no longer be the Hudson Hellfire, and they will be Army Club Lacrosse. Kapinski behind the net. Up that far side, centered, and going to skip wide. Kelleher trying to get to it, but it'll roll out of play first. The official's not going to hold it dead, excuse me. And the Hellfire keep possession. Top Duncan, waiting as he'll feed over to Walsh. Walsh can't get around his defender. Fed it off on the doorstep, now to the top of the key yet again. Quick whip pass. Looking for the swing shot is Walsh. Behind the net, Kapinski. Back and forth again here late in the second quarter. Quick whip shot, going to miss wide. Skips off the turf, and here come the Sled Dogs. Knocked out of the air. There's a great stick there by Kem. This midfield for Hudson loves to get in, try to force some turnovers. As the Sled Dogs moving on up ahead. Dancing, waiting. Up in that far corner. Skips loose on the turf, and Caleb Johnson gonna give it forward. Morganfield up that right side wing to Kapinski down low. As he loves that position here for Hudson. Been a big playmaker guy for this team as the officials gonna hold up that we have made it to the half. Halftime here at Shea Stadium in a 3-1 lead for the Hudson Hellfire here between these two clubs. We're going to step aside, take a break here on the Fans Only Sports Network. When we come back, quarter 3, straight ahead.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. Brought over the 50, and now sliding on ahead. Picked up at the 40. Is this one going to be scooped? Rolled out to the 50. And Hudson trying to scoop it. Is this one will come over the line? The officials will halt this one. Yeah, because I see the bars moving right now.
No, you let me see the input. Like, so, see those black squares on the bottom,
Yep.
right? There should be a scroll bar to the right, and you scroll down. Where's the one that your headset's in? No. Over to the left a little. Over to the left. Where's your input for the? Those are inputs. See to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, I can't see anything here because it's really bad reception, I guess.
Okay.
But right there. Is your mute button on the headset?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's bouncing to me. Alright. Well, let me guys. So I see these two inputs, right?
Yep.
Okay. You don't need two because you only have one headset, right?
Right.
So the one on the right that says offline, hit close.
Close. Okay.
Yeah. And it doesn't, that doesn't look like it's working. Can you do check? You sure your headset's not muted?
No. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Yeah, it's bouncing.
Oh, alright, that should be working.
Okay.
Mute your headset.
Okay. Okay. Bat from behind the net goes Kapinski. It's still a 4-1 score here in favor of the Hudson Hellfire here on the Fans Only Sports Network. Ball going to bounce off the turf as it's grabbed here by Reed Walsh. Standing out at the 40 is Drew Hott going to slide off. Pass fed is Caleb Johnson trying to weave two defenders. Going to feed off. Now dancing, looking for a dangle around. Reed Walsh hacked at the hands. Gonna dish it to Kennedy Duncan. There's a Hellfire in the midst of a change. They bring Kem back to the field. He had a couple of shots back in that first quarter and has been relatively quiet since then. Behind the net, Chester Kopinski dancing on around. Kopinski going to come to the top. Up out at the 20 as the whistles will blow. Hellfire going to call timeout here. 4-1 score here on the Fans Only Sports Network as we step aside, take a quick break. Back to Shea Stadium we come as we've got ourselves just about 3 minutes remaining in quarter number 3 and still a 4-1 score in favor of the Hudson Hellfire here on the Fans Only Sports Network. As again, we apologize about our little audio issue back earlier in the quarter, but we're glad to be back here with you live. As Kopinski out there at the 25, beyond the 30-yard line, going to feed all the way back out Gaines, side to side. Now coming up on ahead is Duncan. Dancing out at the 40, going to give way to Gaines. Up, waiting, trying to dart around his man. Gaines, waiting, bounces that one all the way back out of play. And so Kopinski forced to retreat after this ball. As the officials going to allow him to grab one of the extra balls set up down there on the sideline and get right back to play. Kopinski took a little high hack all the way and square behind the net. Give it to his left, up top out at the 25. Waiting Kem in the corner. Able to stay on his feet. Kem behind the goal, fed out top of the key. Waiting is Keck. Able to stand tall. 2:10 or so to go here in quarter number 3. As that's what we have by our clock. Kennedy Duncan going to take a hit to the shoulder. Duncan hacking whack from behind. So again, 15 minutes running clock here for 4 quarters in this NCLL matchup here at the Division I level. Navy coming in tonight, number 2. Hellfire, number 11. So Hudson trying to hold on to this lead in quarter number 4 after getting through this third quarter and hopefully pull off the huge upset here tonight. Keck is trying to throw that one on goal. He'll get back to his feet. Kemper came way out to play this ball. Come the Dogs. Over half into the offensive zone. A little hack to the hands. Is McKenna on that far wing. Looking ahead, going to play it low. Is Wadovic will go side to side with this one. Johnson now giving up top. In out to the 35. Racing forward, pulls up and it's held. Rutherford couldn't hold on to possession of the ball though. Like he was trying to corral it between his legs or in that chest area. Couldn't get a look either way as Navy will rebound and score. The Sled Dogs will get the answer they've wanted all quarter as Matt Daniels, the senior from Easton, Maryland, gets the job done. As now we'll get a timeout here late in the second quarter by the Hellfire. They don't want to give this Sled Dogs team any more momentum than they have to. 4-2 your score in favor of the Hellfire. Back to Shea Stadium here on the Fans Only Sports Network as we're now deep into quarter number 3, and we do want to take a second to apologize about our little audio issue earlier on in this third quarter, but we're glad to be back here with you live as Hudson, a 4-2 lead here on Navy. The Sled Dogs getting a goal. Certainly put a little wind back in their sails. Matt Daniels, who was a great star at Woodbury Forest High School, coming up with a big goal. Daniels certainly a star back at his high school in the day, as we'll get a draw at half. As we get ready to go. Hudson whacking for this ball. Is Navy quickly trying to come in and get this one. This will skip off the turf, roll all the way down out to the 50. Navy will jog on forward. Is down deep in the corner, side to side. Wadovic waits. As this one will be fired deep out to the 45. Just scoring on that last play was Daniels, and he's immediately involved in the offense, taking a break towards the front. The Sled Dogs will have to chase this ball down. Again, we're late in this third quarter. Should have under a minute to go. Standing at the 25, side to side. Looking for a wind-up play is Daniels yet again. He wants his second goal if he gets the look to. Daniels on goal. Ruther keeps it out with a big stick. Picked up off the turf. Slash at the hands was Walsh, but here he comes the other way. Kem able to stay on his feet. Is Navy going to pick right back up wearing those blue and gold tops. Rolling out at half. Going to be brought ahead. Dane Johnson. Going to give it to Bauer. Bauer's had a couple of good looks on goal himself. Hasn't been able to capitalize as of yet. It's still 4-2 score in favor of the Hellfire here late in quarter 3. Broken to the front and he gets another. It's Matt Daniels with 2 straight goals, and the Sled Dogs are back within 1. The officials waving it off after the fact as Daniels was down on the turf. So right after he thinks he gets his second goal, Hudson going to think nonetheless. So the score stays 4-2, but here comes Navy again. 4-2 Hellfire score. Thrown on goal and a huge save from Ruther. Stitz stick up and corrals it in. And Hudson going to bring it on forward. 4-2. Again, your score. Picked off up the middle. Ball knocked loose from behind as Dane Johnson trying to make some noise here for Navy. Deep feed on out. Is this team coming in 3-1, hoping they can make playoffs? And tonight would certainly be a big step if they're able to hold on for the win. Still up 2 goals after that goal being waved off. We'll get another turnover as it's Hellfire ball. Change is made on the field of play. The Sled Dogs going to go back and forth with it. Pastel. As the officials will blow the whistles. It's like Navy going to be forced to slow it down. Back at the 35 in the corner. McKenna behind the net. McKenna looking and waiting. Going to race back up top. Thrown on goal, and there it is. Dane Johnson finally going to bury an opportunity. He's the sophomore attacker coming up in a big way. We are in the 4th quarter here at Chase Stadium, as we've still got ourselves a 4-3 game here in front of Hudson. And again, we apologize about our scoreboard. We apologize about our time and all of that, as we're doing the best we can up here. There's no communication between the field and up here, and we had no score cloud, so we're just doing the best we can to guesstimate. But we do know it is a 4-3 game, and Hudson hanging on to a 1-goal advantage here against Navy. Little hack around at the legs. Is this one going to be brought forward? Up the middle, dumped off. Trying to swing one to the front. Big shoulder, and it goes top shelf. They say no goal as the flag will come out. And it looks like Hudson going to be down a man. Reed Wallace thought he had scored to make it a 2-goal advantage. But instead he takes a penalty, which is certainly going to hurt this Hudson Hellfire squad. Navy scored earlier on in this game when they were up 2 men. And now it's just 1. But certainly have the man advantage has helped the Sled Dogs team that's gravelled and clawed all night to get some offense going. As the offensive bounces certainly haven't been working in their favor tonight. Sled Dogs waiting for the signal that they can get going as the Hellfire are making changes on defense. Big out at the 40. Coming on ahead, down in the corner. Up out at the 25, side to side, now on that far wing. Into the corner. Up waiting at the 30. Fed on the underhand. Big whip on goal over the top. Going to skip all the way back out of play. Up again. Big shot. Going to rip wide. Electrifying play from McKenna. Would have changed the game if he'd been able to locate the net on that shot. Ball will skip on the turf, roll out into the Navy bench. And it'll be Hudson Hellfire ball. Waiting at this white line. Kennedy Duncan going to break forward over the 50. Down over the line, weaving up that right wing side. Duncan going to stay on his feet. Duncan looking, directing traffic with his hand. Now with a high flip feed. Coming on ahead is Edward Gaines into the corner. Back and forth behind the net it comes. Kapinski, who's been held relatively quiet here thus far in the fourth quarter. 4-3 game in favor of Hudson. Tries to go bar down and can't. Little cupcake saved by Kemper. As he's had that stick everywhere it's needed to be. Back and forth on up with a hat play, high to the hands. Going to come on forward. It's Bauer. Up at the 30 in the corner. Out to the 40 yet again. This Navy team hoping they can finally string together a little bit of an offensive run. Was a 4-1 game in favor of Hudson. They've scored the last two. In the corner looking to the front. They've also had a couple waved off in this game. Broke into the front. Ruther keeps it out. As he used his stick in his legs yet again. As that stick's been Parker Ruther's best friend in this game. It's like we got an injury timeout as the whistle's being blown right in front of the Hellfire net. Man down on the field is Connor McElroy. As he's going to get off under his own power, much to the collapse of many. It's like he's hindering his right leg a little bit. So we'll hope that the big midfielder here for Hudson will be all right. You love to see his team saluting him like they did and giving him their best as McElroy gets off the field. And we're back in play. To the front, this one's bounced and can't find its way through. We'll have to get a new ball as we're in the fourth quarter here at Army. An Army-Navy matchup in this NCLL Division I. Top shelf goal again. And we will be tied at 4-4. It's Aiden Bauer getting his first of the game to tie this thing up. After the Hellfire led 4-1, Navy has strung back in this thing with 3 goals of their own to tie it up. We'll get the face-off at the Army logo. And who's going to control the draw? Yes, this one will go to the Hellfire. Little trip-up play, and the officials thought we heard a whistle, but Hudson, as we'll get another timeout, it looks like. Navy having a discussion with the officials, certainly not loving this too much, but a 4-4 game nonetheless here at West Point. It's Navy ball as the timeout notwithstanding. Is the Sled Dogs going to bring it on forward? Up over the 30 as we're standing tall here in the fourth, and now they take the lead. Racing down that far side, Aiden Bauer going to drill it home, and it's 5-4 Sled Dogs. This team not leading until now, but they finally get one where it matters to take the lead. It's here in this fourth quarter, 5-4 score. Sled Dogs team certainly took a slow start to the night. But have answered back where it matters most. We'll get another draw. And they'll point that this one goes to the Hellfire. 5 minutes going to be left here in this fourth quarter. As it stands 5-4 game for Navy. And again, we apologize about our clock. Is out at the 30. This one going to come down in the corner. Just listening, hoping we can hear the officials give some updates about how much time is left and goals withstanding, goals notwithstanding, and all the timeouts. So we're doing the best we can here from high atop Shea Stadium. Is this one going to be sent wide? It'll get all the way back out of play. It's Kapinski trying to maneuver to the front. Going to feed it off as Keller stays on his feet. It's a high hit, and Navy will be a man down here when we get the opportunity. Ball will be scooped up, and so that will indeed halt it. And the Sled Dogs will be shorthanded, giving the Hudson Hellfire a chance to try to tie this game up. Sled Dogs in the midst of a change. So the call is going to be on Carter Weymouth, the senior defender from New York City. He takes the hold, and so the Hudson Hellfire up a man. They got to be smart with this ball, got to be careful, got to be consistent. If they need a guy to step up in a big way here, it'd be Kapinski, as he has it down that far side. Gave it up top, back and forth. Now with the low pass. Trying to come to the front with this one. Far side looking, waiting again is Walls. Ball comes loose. A little trip up play up the middle. Didn't get a call. Hudson wanted to be up 2 men. And they say that Declan Kelleher stepped out. He had a hard time staying on his feet. And the Hellfire faithful were looking for a pushing call. Kelleher's arguing for it as well. And this Hellfire team all up talking to this crew. We're getting a timeout here for the Hellfire as Ruther jogging off the field. So again, sub-5 left to play here at Shea Stadium. Crunch time moments of this game. It's 5-4 Navy. Back to Shea Stadium here on the campus of Army. Still a 5-4 score in favor of Navy. As the Navy head coach talking to the officials, hoping he can get a pushing call. Army's coaching staff, or I should say Hudson's coaching staff, soon to be Army, coming out talking to the officials as well. As nobody wants to lose this game. Huge game, big implications for both squads. Navy, their goal coming into the season was go undefeated. Hudson's goal was make the playoffs, hopefully make a run and get to Maryland. Lots of conversations going on amongst both teams. There's a good bunch of guys to be had on both rosters. Is Kapinski going to jog ahead? We are back to even strength. Kapinski took a little hit to the bat, trying to work the wraparound lane. Kapinski low, waiting, took a hit to the shoulder, stays on his feet again. Giving up top, Walsh, going to drop back out to the 40. Again, just a couple minutes remaining in this game. Hudson looking for the game tire, thrown on net and a great save. Kemper comes up with that one. Skips off the turf, now sliding on the underhand, flick dead. Walsh going to be shut down and there was no call. Hudson certainly hasn't gotten the breaks to go their way in terms of the officiating side of things in this game thus far. His Navy, a couple of blatant missed penalties. And we'll once again get another timeout. Hellfire going to take another. As we're in crunch time in this game here at West Point, 5-4, Sled Dogs still have the lead. Back to Shea Stadium as Navy's going to have the ball. Called timeout. Keeping possession of this one as they don't want to let Hudson have any more opportunities on their keeper, as Kemper certainly hasn't had his best night of the year. Out at the 50, it's Dane Johnson, who's had a goal waved off in this game for Navy. Always a threat to score when the ball's in his stick. Johnson on the far side, maneuvers on back to the middle. Fed on the doorstep, and Ruther, that's the save of the game. Ruther stands tall, uses his shoulder to keep that one out. And again, these lacrosse goalies don't have too much padding, but Ruther putting his body on the line, hoping this Hudson team can get another opportunity to tie this thing up here in the late stages. Over half in the offensive ground. Up the far wing, going to be dumped in. Back out to the 30 again. As we've got 40 seconds to play. Kennedy Duncan, as his team needs a goal. Navy trying to pick this one off. Ball skipping off the turf, a little hit high. Hacked at the hands, but somehow it'll stay in. Officials were looking and waiting for a call as we get a timeout. The Sled Dogs certainly happy with the way things are going right now, but a timeout going to preserve some game clock for Hudson here on the Fans Only Sports Network. The final moments here from Shea Stadium is in this rivalry, Army-Navy, the Hudson Hellfire, and the Navy Sled Dogs. A 5-4 score in favor of Navy. Hudson scored first. They tied it up. 3 in a row went to Hellfire, and then the Sled Dogs have the last 4. Navy trying to hold on to possession of this ball as just a few seconds remain, and they get the icebreaker. That should be the game right there. It's from deep. Dane Johnson able to send that one through to make it a 6-4 game in favor of the Dogs. Hudson going to have a conversation amongst himself as this Hellfire team has put together a great effort tonight against this Navy team, but it hasn't been enough. They've gone scoreless in the second half, which has certainly proved costly. As we'll get another draw, but again, this should be it. Just a few seconds remain. Is Letcher able to win it in front of the mirror for the Fire? Letcher down the far side, waiting, hoping he can get a shot. Letcher Still holding on as the ball's skipping free on the turf. And the game's going to be over, folks. Navy has gone 2-0 in the all-time season series against the Hudson Hellfire as they are victors this year by a 6-4 score. They're going to salute their keeper in Connor Kemper on a heck of a game well played down there in the big store tonight. Going to be Aiden Bauer. He has 2 goals, was looking for a handy, had a goal waved off, but Bauer is certainly one of the best players on the field tonight for this Navy roster as they use 5 different goal scorers to get the win here tonight by a 6-4 score against Hudson. After trailing 4-1, this team goes 5 straight, and so the Hellfire are going to drop to 3-2 on the season thus far. Navy moves to 5-0. And that will do it here for us tonight on the Fans Only Sports Network. Again, your final score going to be 6-4 in favor of Navy. Thank you for watching tonight here on the Fans Only Sports Network. On behalf of my great cameraman, Matt V. and Ron Robert and Fans Only Sports Network, thank you for watching. Navy 6-4 victors. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night.